Y'all stop fronting. Y'all know Diddy and Tupac was best friends for real. Let's get into it.
Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefy D, says that rapper Sean Diddy Combs was also involved in that murder of Tupac Shakur.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're exploring the history between Sean Diddy Combs and Tupac Amaru Shakur.
You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows.
Part 1, A Tale of Two Coasts. Before Diddy and Tupac were household names, there was already a long-standing feud between the East Coast and West Coast hip-hop scenes.
What? Wait. The East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg?
This was an iconic moment. I remember this.
And Death Row?
Hip-hop can be traced back to the early 70s when it emerged from block parties in the Bronx. With the music genre rooted in New York, the East Coast scene prided itself on being the top dog.
Cause I don't like to dream about getting paid, so I dig into the books of the rhymes that I made.
As the 80s transitioned to the 90s, though, the West Coast started to find its voice, becoming a formidable contender to the East Coast's crown.
Well, if it's good enough to give up a proper chunk, I take a small piece of some of that funky
Classic Snoop Dogg, what?
Despite this growing rivalry, some call
I just love to see the fact that he started way back then. Snoop was so camera shy, he didn't even look at the camera. But this one, man, he went crazy. Like, look at him now, though.
for unity. Near the turn of the decade, songs like Stop the Violence came from the East Coast, while the West Coast echoed with We're All in the Same Gang.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You have your own freedom of choice who to listen to.
Tensions began to escalate in 1991 when Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, Dick Griffey, and D.O.C. founded the West Coast label Death Row Records.
You can work all your life and get a little bit of money, or you can be a businessman, an entrepreneur, and be your own boss.
With hit albums like The Chronic and Doggy Style, the West Coast was gaining the respect it had sought for so long. As the West Coast reached a turning point, so did the East Coast, as Sean Puffy Combs founded Bad Boy Records.
I didn't want to just make records. I didn't want to just make money. I wanted to make history.
Having recently been fired from Uptown Records, the artist who would soon be known as Diddy established himself as a music mogul, bringing on talent like Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace, a.k.a. the Notorious B.I.G.
This is for the youngins, man. Like, y'all, man, like, some of y'all might have been babies. Some of y'all wasn't even thought of, but, and I'm revealing a little bit of my age, but, oh, man, this era was super classic. You know what I mean? For real. Even though this video right here was, like, real super suspect, but we'll talk about that later.
Despite being born in New York, Biggie spent some time in Los Angeles, where he befriended another rising rapper named Tupac Shakur. Introduced through a drug dealer, Biggie would crash on Shakur's couch in California. Shakur also visited Biggie in New York.
They just had a lot of fun around each other.
At one point, Biggie asked Shakur to be his manager. Shakur suggested he stick with Diddy, saying, quote, "He will make you a star." Regardless, their friendship wouldn't survive the East-West rivalry. While in New York on November 30th, 1994, Shakur dropped by Quad Studios with an entourage, including rapper Randy Stretch Walker. Confronted by three men in the lobby, Shakur was shot multiple times.
He come out, look around, stick up the middle finger. Put him in the ambulance.
Although it seemed like a robbery, Shakur grew suspicious when Diddy and Biggie arrived on the scene with James Jimmy Henchman Rosemond, the latter of whom...
Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to talk about this in a different video, but like even the way... Shout out Mojo. First of all, shout out Watch Mojo for the footage, but they're telling it wrong. But that's another video because it's gonna be long drawn out. So what I'm gonna do is, man, I'm gonna drop videos telling stories of what my perspective of what happened actually happened. But Watch Mojo ain't telling it correctly. It's kind of a deeper story than that. But let's continue.
Had called him to Quad. Shakur became convinced that Bad Boy had set him up.
I like to share my experiences in the game and my lessons and my rules and my knowledge on the game with him. You know what I mean? He owed me more.
Following the shooting, Shakur was sent to prison for sexual abuse in early 1995. Diddy visited Shakur during his incarceration, claiming Bad Boy wasn't behind the shooting. This did little to ease Shakur's suspicions. The beef reached a...
Once again, I think that's not accurate.
Boiling point in August 1995. After seeing Shakur in prison, Suge Knight headed to the Source Awards.
First of all, I'd like to thank God. Second of all, I'd like to thank my whole entire Death Row family.
Accepting Motion Picture Soundtrack of the Year, Knight threw shade at Diddy, who seemingly took the high road in another speech.
I'd like to tell Tupac to keep his guards up. We ride with him.
Another iconic moment for the young ones.
Only a month after Knight received boos at the Source Awards, his friend Jai Big Jake Robles was murdered while leaving a birthday party. Knight blamed Diddy, who was also in attendance. After Knight secured his release from Rikers Island, Shakur officially joined the death row family.
It's West Side, so you know the road will bow down to no man.
Part 2. Changes. Whether or not Bad Boy was behind Shakur's shooting, he was now the enemy. Shakur fired lyrical shots at Diddy, Biggie, and Bad Boy with his diss track Hit 'Em Up. Some theorized that Biggie referenced Shakur in the song Long Kiss Goodnight.
I'm flaming jets, aiming at maniacs, put my name in rap.
While war had been declared, Shakur didn't come off as fazed. Having survived multiple shootings and incarcerations, a part of Tupac seemed to think he was invincible. Shakur's luck ran out in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. After getting into a fight with gang member Orlando Baby Lane Anderson at the MGM Grand, Shakur headed to a nightclub with Suge Knight. At a stoplight, a Cadillac pulled up to their vehicle. Shots were fired, with Shakur getting hit 4 times.
But police still have no leads on a suspect or motive.
6 days later, Shakur died in the hospital. In February 1997, Diddy and Snoop Dogg, himself a West Coast artist, appeared on the Steve Harvey Show together.
There ain't no East Coast, West Coast beef.
I swear. We ain't coming to talk about nothing behind us. We come to talk about what's ahead of us.
Both also held a press conference pleading to end the rivalry between the East and West Coasts.
Ooh, this is a whole deeper story, y'all. I could just go so deep with all the research and stuff I've been doing over this whole situation. That'll blow y'all mind.
Snoop said, quote, I don't want to talk about yesterday. I want to talk about tomorrow. We've got to come together, shake hands, call for peace, and move forward.
We're here to make a difference, you know what I'm saying? So we want y'all to stay in school and keep y'all heads in y'all books.
The violence didn't stop, however. On March 9th, that same year, Biggie was fatally gunned down in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles police are investigating the shooting death of rapper Notorious B.I.G., also known as Biggie Smalls.
With many believing Bad Boy assassinated Shakur, Biggie's shooting was seen as retaliation. Tupac and Biggie's deaths were the climax of the East-West rivalry, with more artists calling for peace over the following years. Part 3. Who Shot Ya? Animosity between the East and West Coasts has died down since the 90s. With Tupac and Biggie's murders going unsolved for years, though, a shadow of doubt continued to loom over both coasts.
We know who's responsible for this. The problem we have with this case is we don't have anyone willing to come forward and testify to it.
In a 2002 Los Angeles Times article entitled Who Killed Tupac Shakur, investigative reporter Chuck Phillips suggested the shooter was Orlando Anderson, who died in 1998. Phillips also implied that Biggie put a $1 million hit on Shakur, supplying the murder weapon, while Anderson and Biggie had denied
Not accurate.
Involvement. The article renewed interest in the case. The LA Times retracted the article in 2008 after Diddy accused the outlet of falsely connecting him to Shakur's death. Diddy stated, quote, it is beyond ridiculous and completely false, calling the Times, quote,
I think Watch Mojo meant Diddy earlier. They said Biggie.
Irresponsible.
We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect.
Phillips nonetheless stood by his statements until his death in January 2024. A year before Phillips' passing, the authorities seemingly reached a breakthrough in Shakur's murder.
It has often been said, justice delayed is justice denied. It's a quote we hear often and for many, many years.
On September 29, 2023, the Las Vegas police arrested Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, Anderson's uncle.
A grand jury indicted Dwayne Davis on one count of murder with a deadly weapon.
It wasn't the first time Davis's name had come up in Shakur's case. In 2011, LAPD detective Greg Kading, who had investigated Biggie's murder, published a book alleging that Diddy offered Davis a cool $1 million to take out Shakur and Suge Knight.
Murders are related in the sense they both were a result of the conflict that was going on between the two different record labels.
While Davis had been on the authorities' radar, the gang leader managed to avoid incarceration until he started openly talking about Shakur's death. This included a 2019 tell-all memoir, which paved the way to his eventual arrest. Davis's trial is set to commence in March 2025. Despite Davis's past claims that Diddy was involved, the Las Vegas police have never considered him a suspect.
I just don't see any proof of it. I don't see I don't see it leading anywhere other than the real story, which is that the murder took place with Orlando Anderson.
Despite Davis's past claims that Diddy was involved, the Las Vegas police have never considered him a suspect. Many doubt Diddy's connection given the lack of evidence. Davis isn't the most reliable or consistent witness either. Likewise, it's difficult to back up the theories that Suge Knight ordered Biggie's assassination. In any case, Diddy and Knight haven't wiped their hands of any legal trouble. Following a hit and run in 2015, Knight was sentenced to 28 years in prison.
Developing news now, former rap mogul Suge Knight is headed to prison for voluntary manslaughter.
Parole won't be on the table until October 2034. Meanwhile, Diddy was arrested in September 2024 amid widespread accusations of abuse and sex trafficking. Over 100 have taken legal action against Diddy.
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
Before we continue, Diddy is facing charges for his alleged history of sexual misconduct. That doesn't mean people have forgotten about the Tupac conspiracy theories. Fellow rappers like Eminem, J.I.D., and 50 Cent continue to point fingers at Diddy.
But I ain't trying to beef with him because he might put a hit on me like KVD. Get him.
Crime scene investigator Cheryl McCollum, who worked on Shakur's case, also believed Diddy played a role.
Somebody close to him knows his whereabouts on that day, that time, and that location.
Tupac's family has pushed to reopen the case, although his stepbrother Mopreme Shakur says
it's not about that guy specifically. It's about justice for my brother.
That said, Mopreme doubted Diddy was, quote, 100% honest when he denied involvement. Whatever future investigations uncover, Diddy survived longer than Tupac or Biggie. In this business, though, sometimes you either die a legend or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
What's one misconception about you?
There are no misconceptions about me.
What are your thoughts on Diddy and Tupac's history? Let us know in the comments.
We wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, man, listen. This is how I look at the situation. It goes a little bit deeper on the story of Tupac and Diddy and their friendship, where it went wrong, how Biggie's included. It's a really deep story to how that whole situation goes, man. You know, Watch Mojo only gonna scratch the surface. But like I said, yo, if you would like to hear me do a video telling my rendition of the research that I did on the whole situation, then leave it in the comment section and let's talk about it, man. How do y'all feel, man? Do y'all think that Puff or Diddy was jealous of Tupac? Was it some issues? Was it some long-standing things that happened before the fact? What do you think? Let's talk about it in the comment section, man. And definitely, if you got a video that you want me to react to, or, you know what I'm saying, you want to talk about some things a little bit deeper, leave it in the comment section, man. I try to read all of them. We still pretty much a small channel, you know, so I still try to feedback and react and you know, reply to comments and everything. But I definitely want you guys to leave your feedback. And like I said, if you got something you want me to react to, leave it in the comment section. But on that note, man, I'm up out of here. It's your boy Chaotic One. This is the KMHP TV YouTube channel, and we do reactions, music, anything music related, story-wise, you're going to get right here from this channel, right here. That's how we do it. And till the next video, it's your boy. Holla. Peace.